Namaste, this is Ali, and in this video I'm going to answer a question that I get really frequently on this channel, which is, what is Sankalpa? What is this word, Sankalpa? What does it mean? So I'm going to also dive into a little bit around the concept of a primary Sankalpa, to show the evolution of my own journey with Sankalpa, so that it might be helpful to some of you and also to some of the trainees inside of my Yoga Nidra teacher training. Sometimes people can tend to put a little bit of pressure on this idea of the primary Sankalpa, so we'll get a little bit into that, because it's something that, you know, can sort of slowly be excavated over time. It doesn't have to be something that you figure out in like one sitting. So the word Sankalpa, the word san, I love the translation that one of my teachers, Richard Miller, often gives, which is born from your heart. Some people also refer to it as truth. It's an inner knowing, born from the heart. And kalpa essentially means, the word is like time, but it actually refers to a long period of time in the yoga teachings, something like an eon, several billion years. So it's a period of time, kalpa, or unfolding over time, something that's happening over time. So that is what those are some of the roots of the word, or some of the roots of the word that I like to talk about. There are different other ways to translate it that I sometimes talk about as well, but let's just stay with, let's keep it pretty simple. And this word often is, it's sometimes compared to like goal setting, which is not really the same thing. It's sometimes compared to intention, which is a little bit more, it's a little bit more like an intention than a goal. And we'll talk a little bit more about what do I mean by that. So with a goal, which are very helpful, goals are of course very helpful in our lives, but they're a little bit different in the way that they have, you know, usually a time constraint to them and a very specific outcome that we want to have, and they're often measurable. You know, you hear people talking about like SMART goals and things like that. Whereas a Sankalpa is more of a direction that you'd like to go. And a primary Sankalpa is sort of the song of your life, you could think of it as, the soundtrack of your life, or the direction that you're going. So if you think about a concept of like a lighthouse or a North Star, that you're sort of moving in this direction. So let's call it the true north, your true north. Everybody has their own true north in this analogy. And with a Sankalpa, you might go west for a little while. You might go south for a little while. You might go in circles for a little while. And that North Star, your true north, is always sort of guiding you back to that direction that you're going with your life. So you can think of a primary Sankalpa as like a lifelong journey. So this is why sometimes people can be like, oh my gosh, that's like a lot of pressure, my lifelong journey, or my dharma. What if I don't really feel connected to like a purpose right now, or I don't really know what my intention is? And I can say that when I came to Yoga Nidra many years ago, that was the case for me also. So I just wanted to sort of describe to you guys how my Sankalpa, and I'm talking about primary Sankalpa here, not secondary Sankalpas, which we also get into in the training. So I just want to make that clear. We're talking about primary Sankalpa right now. I'm just going to describe how my primary Sankalpa sort of evolved over time. When I first came to yoga and discovered Yoga Nidra, I was in a very a place where my nervous system was really out of whack. And many of you know this about me. I had anxiety and depression and insomnia and full-blown panic attacks and frequent panic attacks as a young adult, and even as like, well, the whole thing sort of started around age 11 and continued to escalate over the years. And I also had asthma, so I would sometimes be having a panic attack and then it would like turn into a full-blown asthma attack. I'd be in the hospital. It was like a very scary situation that I found myself in, where I felt very out of control in my nervous system, and I was anxious about panic attacks, having another panic attack, and when was it going to come, what might happen, was I going to be okay? I was very scared and nervous all of the time. So when I first started learning about Sankalpa, it was honestly like I wanted to be able to cultivate some peace within myself. And that was a bit of a stretch for me in the beginning. It was like, I kind of had to word it like, you know, it's possible that I might be able to create a little bit of peace within myself, or I might be able to feel calm or at peace, or, you know, it didn't really feel very attainable at the time. But there was this desire, there was like a longing, and oftentimes Sankalpa is referred to as a heartfelt desire, or a heart's longing, or a heart's wish, things like that. And there was a longing, there was a wish, there was a desire to be able to feel peace within myself, and it didn't really feel like it was something that I could achieve at the time. So it felt like a bit of a stretch for me, or like, if we go back to that word goal, it was like kind of like a stretch goal. I'm not sure if I can create that, but I'm willing to believe that it might be possible. That's kind of where I started out. And then as I practiced more pranayama and yoga and things that were really starting to settle my nervous system down and calm my nerves, and I was starting to catch glimpses of moments where I had this like reprieve, and then after yoga I would like fall asleep and sleep like a baby, stuff like that, whereas usually I'd be up until like 4 or 5, 6 in the morning just trying to go to sleep. And so there were glimpses of calm and peace and tranquility that I had started to discover. So it started to become a little bit more attainable or believable, if you will. So my Sankalpa sort of shifted again from I might be able to create some peace, which is where I kind of started, to it's possible for me. I am creating peace within myself. I'm creating peace within myself. And then it's really important with the Sankalpa that it's in the positive. So I finally got to that place where I wasn't, you know, avoiding anxiety. Like, I don't want to create anxiety. I am creating peace. I am creating peace and calm within myself. And there's a few other things with this Sankalpa to make it really helpful and succinct. It's got to be short and sweet, and the present tense, positive about yourself. So those are some of the things to keep in mind. So I am creating peace within myself became the Sankalpa. And then as I started to study more and more, I studied for many years before I started considering getting trained to become a teacher. The teachers that I first started studying with, one of them, you know, she said, you know, traditionally a student will study for 10 years before taking a teacher training to become a teacher. And so I kind of took that to heart and studied. I practiced all the time, like every day, and learned. And then finally I took my 200 hour at the Kripalu Center with my teacher Randall, who was a really just renowned and incredible Yoga Nidra teacher. So that's where I really started to dive super deep into Yoga Nidra even more. But anyways, this evolution of becoming a yoga teacher, I started to see that I was actually starting to help create peace in others by, you know, teaching them meditation and pranayama and yoga. And I was starting to see that their nervous systems were shifting as they came into the room, and they were creating peace within themselves as well. So my Sankalpa sort of shifted to I'm creating peace within myself which is creating a peaceful ripples into the world, peaceful ripples into the lives of my students, into the lives of their loved ones that touches. And so my Sankalpa became not just about creating peace with myself, it was creating peace within myself that was sort of spilling over and helping my yoga students. So that has evolved over time. When I started the YouTube channel, I sort of the wording changed again a little bit. It started to shift, and it was sort of, I'm creating a peaceful wave in the world. I am creating peace within myself. I'm creating a peaceful wave within the world. And now my primary Sankalpa is I'm creating a peaceful impact. I'm creating a peaceful impact on the world. And sometimes I'll even like bring in something like I'm creating a massive peaceful impact on the world. So it's really grown over time from this place where it was like, maybe I might be able to create peace within myself, to I am creating a massive peaceful impact on the world and on the planet. So that is every time I'm practicing Yoga Nidra, that is my primary Sankalpa. When I'm calling on my primary Sankalpa, that's what I call in. And I also work with secondary Sankalpas, which we talk about in the training, which we dive pretty deep into in our Manamaya Kosha module. And we also talk about the concept of Vikalpa. What is Vikalpa? Nirvikalpa, Samadhi, or the resting in the sweetness of no Sankalpa, or some translated as like no mind, this sort of sweetness of no mind. And we talk about all of that as well. But for the channel, and for just the very common question of what is Sankalpa? What is Sankalpa? I hope that this video will be helpful for some of you guys, because if you're practicing Yoga Nidra daily or weekly, and you don't have sort of a primary Sankalpa that you're calling on each and every time, it's really powerful to create that primary Sankalpa, that your repetition is really powerful. So if you're bringing that in every single time, calling it in, calling it in, calling it in my experience, the thing that you're calling in becomes inevitable. It just really becomes this North Star, this guiding light in your life that continues to compel you into right action. So I hope that is helpful. There's so much more that I could say about Sankalpa, but know that if you're new to Yoga Nidra, if you're new to this concept of Sankalpa, I just also want to offer that it's really powerful for people who have never even worked with, setting an intention before, just to simply call in something nourishing for the self. So even just to gift yourself the care and the love of creating an intention for yourself. Some people don't work with intention for themselves at all and don't even feel deserving of these types of things. So calling in something, and that's why often when I give suggestions in my recordings for a Sankalpa, I say something like, you might say, I'm resting deeply today, or I accept myself just as I am, or something that can feel really life-affirming and supportive towards oneself, because really the process of Yoga Nidra, what it uncovers over time is our own innate wholeness, that we are whole and complete and, completely deserving of being here, and that every single one of us is worthy and whole as we are, and we can connect to that innate wholeness through the process of Yoga Nidra, which is really often about peeling back some of the layers of conditioning that have been put upon us by our own self-impositions, but also of society and of maybe our parents, or different experiences that we've had over our lives. So anyway, connecting to just simply a simple intention of might I be happy, might I be healthy, might I love myself just as I am. Some really simple and life-affirming intentions, Sankalpas, can be a really beautiful place to begin, and then seeing where that leads you over time. Because like I said, mine in the beginning was, it's possible for me to one day feel peaceful or something like that. I desired to feel peace within myself, and I just eventually got to the place where I believed that that was possible. And over time, it's become my life's mission to help other people to create peace within themselves. So you can see how it can evolve over many years, which is what it's done in my life and in many people that I know. It's an evolving and shifting, uncovering of the heart's desire and the purpose and where life is sort of directing you. It's a lot of also trusting the flow of life and seeing where it takes you as well. So I hope that that's helpful, and please let me know if you have any questions below. Let me know if you're in the training and you found this helpful. Let me know. I know that lots of you are right in Module 1. We dive into Primary Sankapla, and some people it's a new concept for us, so it's exciting, and also sometimes people can be like, whoa, because it's almost like, what is your purpose? What is your dharma? And so in the way that some of the questions are worded in the worksheets, we have a lot of meditations and lessons and worksheets around creating the primary Sankalpa. So hopefully hearing this story about how mine shifted and evolved over the years might be helpful for some of you if you're feeling a little bit stuck on that. And then if you're new to learning about Sankalpa on the channel, you might leave me a comment below. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you want to share what you're working with right now, where you're maybe starting out, or maybe you started working with a primary Sankalpa a little while ago. You can share with me anything that you'd like to. I don't think I've ever shared my Sankalpa publicly like that before, but I'm happy to share that with you all. And yeah, if you have any questions about the Yoga Nidra teacher training, I'll post some links below. We have a beautiful community, online community of teachers, students and teachers learning and sharing together and learning all things Yoga Nidra, how to guide and how to go through all of these processes for ourselves, creating, just a really beautiful, not an adventure, but a journey of diving deep in your own self, in your own practice of all of these concepts, and then how to then take those out and share them with the world and create some more of those peaceful waves, peaceful ripples. That's one of my missions now, right? Is that peaceful impact on the world. And one of the biggest ways that I'm able to do that right now is through my online trainings and teaching these things to others so that they can go out and then share that with their communities. And the peace that we are able to spread through the communities that way, it's just such a beautiful thing and much bigger impact. So I'm very grateful for that, and it's all linked together, so it's very cool. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I'm excited to hear about your Sankalpa, and I'll see you in the next Yoga Nidra practice. Namaste.